Let us start, Nikhil.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is the last session of Metal Additive Manufacturing 2021, MAM 2021. So this will be delivered by Mr. Nikhil Thavri. Nikhil Thavri is our own MTech student earlier. Then he has joined as a PhD with our group. So Nikhil, primarily he works in the area of laser cladding, and mostly his work is on distortion and characterization of temperature using this laser cladding process. He is like a hardcore laser cladding person, we can say right now, because he has for the last three and a half years he is working extensively on laser cladding, and also he has given his pre-submission seminar also in the department. Very soon he will be going to submit his thesis also. I wish Nikhil all the best. And Nikhil, you have 1 hour 15 minutes. He will be talking about in-process monitoring of distortion and temperature in this laser cladding process. So Nikhil, you have 1 hour 15 minutes, and 15 minutes we will leave it for the audience for discussion.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. Now you can first share your PPT, then we'll see.
Yes, sir. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is visible. Fine.
Okay. And sir, my audio is also visible.
Your audio is also clear. Don't worry.
Okay, sir. So, sir, good morning to all. And first, I would like to thank Dr. T.V.K. Gupta, sir, for giving for kind introduction. And sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity to showcase my research work in this MAM workshop. I hope this lecture will give some knowledge and idea to the participants for their future research work. We will start. So first, I would today I'm going to give my lecture on in-process distortion and temperature monitoring in laser cladding process. So it is one of the additive manufacturing process which can be used to for surface modification and also can be used as a additive manufacturing process. So I will not go into deep into additive manufacturing process, as I hope that you all know about this process, different techniques, and and their advantages and disadvantages. So I will mostly talk about the laser cladding process only in this topic. So laser cladding process. So as I told, and it is also shown in this figure, two figures also, it is an advanced surface modification techniques, which is also known as additive manufacturing techniques, which is used to repair the worn out components or to develop a component layer by layer. As we can know, every component over the period of time will undergo wear and tear. So instead of throwing that complete component, which are sometimes most of costlier, so to reduce the cost, engineers they will do, they will just deposit a hard coat over the base material so that it will extend its life and reduce the overall operational cost. So this is the new technique. We can't say new, but it is a very advanced technique where they will use a laser as a heat source, and with the help of that heat source they will melt the substrate and powder simultaneously and deposit a layer over the substrate, which will protect the component from the harsh environment. So it will prefer over the welding process. I would like to tell, welding and laser cladding both are near similar process. The only difference is that here we will use the laser. So as we all know, laser has better characteristics, like it will induce low heat input. And also I would like to mention, Chaitanya has already informed you that it will apply only over the specific area, so that it will concentrate over the localized area, so that it will give heat to that particular area only, and it will give rapid solidification rates, due to which what happened, it will induce low heat affected zone, it will induce low dilution, distortion, and also it can produce clad height up to 0.05 to 2 mm and width as narrow as 0.4. The width mainly depend upon the what type of spot diameter we are using during the cladding process. So depending upon that we can vary. That's why we can say it can be used for surface modification and it can be used for additive manufacturing. Based on this heat input, we can formulate the component, or we can clad the bulk material likewise. So in recent year, due to the development of the laser, it can be used in many industries. Like it can be used to coat engine wall seats, injection molds, caster rolls, turbine blades, slurry walls, rail tracks, and etc. Due to their many advantages and after clad processing or microstructure development. So with this, I will like to inform that okay. So cladding, as I informed, this is a metal additive direct metal deposition technique. So there are two ways it can be done. Initially, it can be done with the pre-placed laser cladding, or it can be done with pre-placed powder deposition, where the powder will be pre-placed over the substrate. Then the laser will come. It will melt both the powder and substrate simultaneously and deposit a layer, as we can see in figure 1. Now with the advancements, engineers have studied to okay, we will go with the powder injection or powder blown technique, which will avoid the uh, it will reduce the steps. Like here we can say that we have to deposit the power, so deposit the power over the substrate. They will apply some adhesive in between them so that it will stick to the substrate during the deposition. So what they will think, okay, we will supply the powder during the process and we will try to build. So they have developed a technique where they will pass the powder or transfer the powder with the help of the powder feeder. There the powder will come like this and laser will simultaneously come there. So due to this, what happened, powder will come here and the laser will come. So laser will melt this substrate and also the powder, and then they will deposit a coat. So these are the two techniques that we are adopting. And one more thing, in powder injection techniques, we instead of powder we can use wire also. We can feed the wire and then they will deposit the coat. But in powder, the biggest limitation is that it will produce a thick coats, and the coating structure or after coat machining will be more, and their aesthetics are also not that much good. That's why people will mainly use powder instead of wire one. So laser cladding technique can also be known as direct metal deposition, hard facing, direct laser deposition, or laser hardening, or laser binding process. There are different techniques. So as laser cladding involve heat, whenever it will involve heat and substrate melting is occur, so it is forming a metallurgical bond. It is not like any other thermal spray technique where they will form the metallurgical bond. Here that cladding will form the metallurgical bond, not make sorry, in thermal spray they will form mechanical bond with the substrate. So what will happen, over the period of time, if the stresses are more, it will delaminate from the substrate and it will fail the component. But in laser cladding process, as melting is involved, it will form metallurgical bond. So when we say metallurgical bond, melting is involved. So when melting is involved, there are thermal stresses, there are thermal gradients. So due to that thermal gradient, distortion will come. So when the distortion come, again it will limit this process to use for only particular area. Like in aerospace, they didn't want any distortion, or they didn't want any residual stresses in the component, because they are flying at high altitude. So there is no chance for there is no chance to modify something if happen in between. So that's why they will not allow this cladding process if it will give more distortion than their permissible limit. So what to do? So to perform this or to study this distortion, many researchers has done numerical modeling, many has done in situ monitoring, many has done post process study to see how this distortion is developing, or what are the measures to reduce the distortions. So for that we have entered into this area. So this is the most important area, because if we have to use laser cladding in lot of areas or in every field, then we have to see that okay, it should induce minimum distortion and it should induce minimum residual stresses so that it can be used worldwide. So now to investigate that, we have entered into that distortion area, and we try to figure it out how to minimize the distortion, or what are the possible ways it can be reduced, or what are the possible parameters that will induce these distortions. So basically, distortion is what? Distortion is a deviation in the original shape from the deviation in the original shape due to the external or internal force. External means what? We are applying the force and it is bending, that is the external. And internal means due to development of residual stresses, thermal gradient, it will expand and contract and it will deform. So these are the two ways it can be deformed. So in researchers, they say that okay, when we deposit a longitudinal, it will form longitudinal distortion, and when we deposit it in the transverse direction, it will give transverse angular distortion. Like as you can see in this figure, this is the longitudinal distortion, it is bending in the longitudinal direction, and this is the transverse angular distortion which is bending in the transverse direction. So in laser cladding, rapid heating and cooling were involved. As I mentioned, laser. When laser involved, it will give rapid solidification. So it will give rapid heating and cooling cycle. So due to this reason, it will induce distortion. And when once the distortion will induce, it cannot be removed easily with the post-process heat treatment or machining operation. Even though we do machining, it will require high-end machining operation, which will again adding the cost to the operation. And when we adding the cost to the operation, it will again restrict this technique to further use. So to do this, we have done some literature analysis, intensive literature analysis. Before entering into this field, we will think that okay, we will first go on with the literature so that we will find out how the distortion is affecting the parameter, or how to investigate, or how to find out the distortion. So there are numerical things that number of things that we have considered. We have gone through 100 or 150 like that papers, and then we found that because numerical analysis work has lot has done in laser cladding area. Because what happened, it involves melting, phase transformation, again it will involve uh, liquid to solidification, and again it will involve higher heating cycles. So to measure this complex phenomena during the process, it is very difficult. So people are develop the model, and from that model they are predicting the distortion, how it will affect the final geometry, and like these things. And in so some people are trying, okay, we will do in situ monitoring so that we will come to know what is the actual. Because anyhow, even though you tried a lot, numerical analysis only will give you approximate value, which will also again depend upon the boundary conditions, your software, your simulation time, meshing, and all these things. And every time something will lag, and something cannot be covered. And that's why this many or a lot of people are every time they are modifying and they are doing this work. uh, for experimental validation, people are using laser displacement sensor, differential variable read, reluctance transducer, strain gauges with digital image correlation, so that they can find the find the or measure the distortion. So these are the researchers that have work with the laser displacement sensors and DVRT and DIC. So what is happening? They have done the work, but they are also lagging with some aspects. Like in laser displacement sensor, these are very costly, so people have only done the single displacement sensor. But what is happening to the other areas, they are pointing at one point and they are saying that okay, this much distortion is going. But with the single distortion, we can't predict the distortion that are induced in the complete component. So they have used only single, and beside that they have used only cantilever support also plays a very important role. From the literature we find that support also plays a very important role, because they have used fixed support, they have used cantilever support, but no one tried to perform cladding over a unconstrained support without applying any support. No one has tried until now to perform the cladding and to measure the distortion. Because what happened, when we are depositing or fabricating any part, depend upon the complexity of the part, shape, size, and area to clad, we have to decide the fixturing condition or support condition. So only cantilever sometimes may not work. If shafts are big, cantilever may not work. If shafts are small or components are very small, you can't do the cladding by fixing this, because it will generate a lot of residual stresses, which is undesirable. Again, when we use a fixed support, it will again induce residual stresses, and other thermal properties will vary. That's why, depending upon the substrate size, we have to use different support condition. But till now, from the literature, we found that no one has used substrate that is in unconstrained condition, and then they have measured the deposition or done the cladding process. Because our industry partners, they will do most of the cladding without any support condition or without any constraint. Because for high production rates, you can't every time fix the support, every time you can't do clamping, every time you can't hold it cantilever, because it will reduce the productivity. So to do that, they will just simply deposit a coating over the substrate without any constraint. So we will get some idea. We talk to them, and they have also given some feedback over that, and from that we have started the work. And also we think that, okay, we have now finalized that, okay, we will use, again, we have used different sensors to get the overall idea about the process. We have used different sensor to monitor different area, so that we will get a lot of data from that measurement, and we can correlate this further or understand better. So again, we have seen microstructural and mechanical analysis. So a lot of work has been extensively done here. Before going, we have finalized two materials, that is stellite and Inconel 700. Because mostly, as I am talking about the laser cladding process, it will mainly use for surface deposition, or it will use for turbine blade. And for turbine blade, as Deepa Srivanasam madam also told us, they are building the turbine blades with the help of this additive manufacturing. This can also be used as additive manufacturing. So we have selected two materials, that is Inconel 718, which is soft material, and but it has high heat resistance property. That's why it can be used at elevated temperature. Again, we have second one, we have used stellite 6. Stellite 6 is a hard coat material which is having higher wear resistance properties, and it has a hardness up to 54 HRC. So it is good in that cobalt based alloy. So we have extensively reviewed the literature, and we found that their combined effect no one has studied, because every material has different thermomechanical property, but these two material has near similar thermomechanical property, which again we got some idea that, okay, their microstructural analysis also very important. So we have digged into that. Researchers had a individual work, but no one tried to use them combinedly, or no one has tried to attempt to use them as or compared their microstructural properties. So what are their effects? So we have extensively used, and we have finalized our objective based on their literature also. Again, we have think that, okay, distortion is fine, microstructure is also very important. Then we can say that, okay, we are depositing hard material over a soft material, because this stellite or these other superalloys are very costly. And to save the component, why we will coat? Because we have to protect the substrate material, and substrate material is generally SS or cast iron. So when we are depositing stellite, or when we are depositing any hard material over the soft material, the thermomechanic or thermal heat expansion coefficient will be different. So due to that, what will happen, it will again damage, or it will again increase the dilution in the hard coating, and it will susceptible for crack formation or higher residual stress formation. So we have again entered into the area where we try to improve the properties of stellite 6 by adding the buffer layer. So these many have done the research work in cladding area. Very few one has done the work where they have deposited buffer layer and try to increase the end or mechanical or microstructural properties of the hard material. So with the help of this literature review, we have finalized our objective, and we have we then decide that okay, we will do this and we will see what are the outcomes we will get, so that it will beneficial for our future work. Based on that, we have decided and we have developed our methodology, so how we will proceed and how we will study, and how we will, with the help of which sensor, with the help of which data acquisition, with the help of which microstructural analysis. We have decided a roadmap for our research work, and we have finalized this methodology, so that we can come to some results and finding which will help for in future. So that's why we have adapted this methodology, and based on that we have finalized our objective and we will proceed. So before going, this is the methodology that we have adopted. Based on that, for my research work, we have finalized 5 objectives that I am going to discuss in my talk. So setup. So we have Gupta sir has very close tie-up with the industry partner. So luckily we this facility is in Nagpur only, and we have very lucky that we have come across this facility, this advanced facility. So for my entire work, we have used this facility. Like you can see here is the robotic arm. This is the powder feeder. This is the nozzle. We have used laser line fiber coupled diode laser. This diode laser has a maximum efficiency till now. It will give efficiency up to 35 to 50% efficiency, because we know that laser, when we are using laser, reflectivity will be more. So it will not give 100%, but it is, this fiber coupled laser is giving 30 to 35 to 50% efficiency. This system has a maximum output power of 4 kilowatt, and we have used this system for our entire work. Here, Unicode gravimetric powder feeder is used. Here is the powder feeder that we have used. From this powder feeder, that powder will come here to this nozzle with the help of the argon as a shielding and all the carrier gas. So we use shielding gas as argon, and also carrier as the same. So what we'll do, argon gas will use to transfer this powder from this powder feeder with the help of the pressure to this nozzle. From this nozzle, the powder will get feed, and from this center nozzle, laser will come. So simultaneously will melt the powder and also substrate. Someone's audio is on. Can Okay, thank you. Okay. So these are the system that we have used for our entire setup. This is the substrate that we have used. It is having a size of 120 length, 65 width, and 8 mm thickness. This is the protective shield that we have used. Interestingly, the biggest problem with us that we have to design a fixture which can hold the substrate without any constraint, because we have to give only point support. We have to check without any constraint condition what is the maximum allowable distortion can be induced in the substrate. That is the main objective of our study. That's why we try to develop a fixture that can be used, that can also hold the sensor, that can also hold the substrate without any difficulty during the process. So we will came up with the fixture. That fixture I will discuss in my later talk. So this is the experimental setup that we have used. So now distortion. As I told, we have used 5 laser displacement sensor, because before finalizing this fixture, actual fixture, we did some CAD modeling. We tried to accommodate all the sensor in a very small area to see the distortion evolution in the entire substrate. So what we have developed our CAD model, and we have finalized that okay, this is the thing, or this is the placement that we have required, so that we can accommodate all the sensor. So with the help of this only we have developed this. Here you can see, okay, I think, okay, that's it. So this is the distortion sensor that we have used here. These are the distortion. We have used a pyrometer sensor also, because when we are saying that okay, thermal gradient will induce the distortion, but how much temperature? So what is the actual temperature will induce? What are the melting temperature that will induce, and what is the relationship between the distortion? For that reason, we have used uh, pyrometer, which can measure the melt pool, which is having a maximum range of 2200 degrees centigrade, and it will start measuring from 490 degree to 2200 degrees centigrade. This is the substrate, this is the cladding gun, these are the laser displacement sensor. Total five, one, two. From that there are two, and at the middle there is one displacement sensor that we have used to capture the data over the substrate. We have used five pyrometers near to that displacement sensor, so that we can capture the temperature data near to that distortion measurements, so that we can try and correlate the temperature with the distortion results. So these are the melt pool temperature pyrometer. These are the substrate pyrometer, and these are all non-contact pyrometers. They don't have any physical contact with the substrate. And we have used data acquisition system. When we say in situ monitoring, when we say in process monitoring, we have to record the complete data what is happening during the process. So for that reason, we require some sensor or some things that can capture all this data during the process. So we have used data national instrument data acquisition system, where we have used one module NI9205 to measure the distortion and temperature data with the help of module 9213. And we have used LabVIEW software, where we have done some programming. With the help of that programming, this data can be recorded in the computer through this data acquisition system. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have finalized two materials. There are a lot of materials we can deposit, but lot of work has also been done. So that's why we have used Stellite 6 and Inconel 7. Even though the researchers has done Stellite 6 and Inconel 7 cladding, but they have not never considered that okay, we can measure the distortion. As these materials are popular, they can use everywhere, why not to measure their distortion, or how much distortion they will induce during the deposition, or is there any deviation, or is there any difference from the past data? That's why we have selected these two materials. These are our initial SEM micrographs. We have done our own analysis. With the help of that, we have measured their size, their shape, and whether they are in spherical shape or not, because shape is very important. When the powder is coming from the nozzle, it will affect the cladding. If it is a irregular shape, it will block the nozzle, and it will not come out very fast. As if it is spherical one, it can smoothly transfer from the nozzles, and it will smoothly perform the cladding. So we have confirmed that okay, from the images you can also see the most of the particles are in spherical shape, and all the powder size is in the range of 30 to 100 micron. We have used SS316 as a substrate material, which can be of size 120 by 65 by 8 mm. So we have developed lot of plates for our experimentation. So now the first objective. So first we will see that okay, there are different parameters during the cladding. It involved laser, it involves scan speed, it involved powder feed rate, it involved stand-off distance, it involved hatch spacing. But there are 90 to 20 parameters. Ravi sir also told in the last session that there are different parameters, but these parameters are depend mainly upon the system, which robot you have, which system you have. Accordingly, we can change, but you can't change the substrate properties. So that can be constant everywhere. You okay? So we have hatch spacing, but generally in the literature, everyone is using a hatch spacing between 40 to 50% only, because we have to cover the complete area. That's why we have to overlap first with this second layer, second track. So 50% overlap is also mostly constant. So mainly three parameters can, there is a possibility to vary three parameters, that is powder, feed rate, laser power, and scan speed. We have done our initial trials. Chaitanya has also already done, and I also done a lot of single track cladding, so as to confirm that okay, these are the parameters that can be used for our cladding, because we are depositing here bulk we are depositing bulk material, we are covering a large area. So before covering that large area, we have done our initial analysis and we can come up with this process parameter. We have not changed any powder feed rate, because in initial trials we found that even though we reduce or increase the powder feed rate, it cannot give any much impact over the clad geometry. And that can also be compensated with the increase or decrease in the scan speed or powder laser power. So we didn't change the powder feed rate, and we have used powder feed rate as 45 grams per minute to investigate the combined effect, that is a combined effect of power and scan speed. We have used one metric, that is linear heat input metric, to investigate the combined effect of power and scan speed. This also we have adopted in the system. Number of tracks per layer, we have deposited 16 tracks. This is the schematic of the cladding. So this is the cladding area, 110 by 55 is the cladding area. This much area we have kept blank. These are the sensor position that we have used. This is the schematic. Okay, so this much area we have deposited. So to cover this much area, we require 16 tracks, and we have deposited 2 layers. With one layer, we can't say that okay, this much distortion can be induced with the single deposition. Sometimes we have to deposit a multi-layer deposition so as to obtain the required height. So we have performed 2 layers with this setup. So first, the distortion. So we have used a laser displacement sensor, which is having a point contact with the substrate. Laser will come, it will detect whatever maybe the distortion or deflection is there, it can monitor. So this is the data that we have obtained. First, we will perform only stellite 6 cladding. We have to see the first, our objective is to the effect of process parameter on the distortion irrespective of the material. So we have used stellite 6 hard material for this experimentation. So we obtained this data. Here we can see that we have used 4 corner sensor. These are the distorted sample. So now what is happening? At the center it is bending downward, and at the upward it is bending, at the corners it is bending upward. And also the similar trend we have observed here also. See, all the 4 corner sensor have shown upward movement, and the center middle region has shown the downward movement. So here you can see that the distortion at the center region is giving in the downward, and the deflection at the corners are giving upward. From the data we can see that okay, we thought that distortions are different. It is obviously different at different points, but we can see that okay, we will observe the corner distortion because there only we will get the maximum distortion. But we can see that corner distortion is similar everywhere. It is mostly similar. It is a difference of hardly 0.2 to 0.3 mm. So we have concluded that okay, and everywhere in each sample, 9 samples we have used. So cladded, we have monitored for 9 samples. In all 9 samples, we got the similar result. So what we will do, we have consider only single, say maximum distortion which sensor has recorded. We will consider this, and we have investigated this result as a final distortion. So these are the single track distortion I am showing here. So these are the maximum distortion that we have obtained for individual process parameter. The red line indicates the first layer deposition, second line indicates the second layer deposition, and this is the ideal time that we have kept so that we can find out even after cladding also is there any distortion or not. So these are the distortion data that we have obtained. And from the distortion data, you can clearly see there is a longitudinal bowing mode of distortion. Initially, I told when we are depositing a material, it will induce longitudinal or it will develop transverse angular bowing mode of distortion. But in our case, we obtain longitudinal bowing mode of distortion in every substrate. So we can say that whenever you are depositing longitudinal cladding, it will induce longitudinal distortion. After a post-process analysis, we find out this result. So these are the deflection, total deflection. These are the deflection data that we have obtained per layer. These are the 2 layers. These are the change in percentage between the layers. and this is the comparison of data when we have compared 20 mm per scan speed with the 12 and 16 mm per scan speed. So results indicate that from the table we have derived some data, and we can say that, see, 6 mm of distortion we got. When substrate is at unconstrained condition, it will induce maximum distortion of 6 mm, which cannot be acceptable in aerospace or automobile or in turbine industry, because they are very much sensible, or they are very much constrained. They have constraint about this distortion. So this much distortion cannot be acceptable. So these are the distortion that range we have got. Minimum distortion we got 3.47 mm, and maximum we got 6 mm. So even though we can say that, okay, laser cladding will induce low distortion, but still it is giving lot of distortion in the substrate. So here we can see 12 mm per 16 mm per second of scan speed will induce nearly 20 to 10% higher distortions compared to 12 mm per second of scan speed, while keeping the laser power constant. Here also we can see that when we increase the distortion from 2400 to 2900 and to 3400, we are getting distortion more increased distortion, which is increased by 15% and increased by 30% on an average. So that much effect it is giving when we are increasing the power. That's why optimum process parameter are always important for additive and for laser cladding, because you can't every time you can't test it in and you can't deposit a layer. We can say that, okay, this is the optimum one. Intense study we have to do, even though industry persons are also doing lot of initial trials, lot of initial investigation, so that they will confirm, because once the parameter will confirm, they have to do batch production. So that's why these studies are very important. So that's why we are obtained that much result. Secondly, we have found that second layer cladding has measured or obtained 15 to 30% lower deflection. This range is for entire 9 samples. So when we are depositing a second layer, distortion induces or distortion decreasing. So why it is decreasing, I will explain you in the discussion part. So first I am just showing the what we have obtained. So now, as I shown the distortion, when we are doing the post processing, we found that everywhere there is a increase decrease in the data. So we think that, okay, why this is happening, why should not be just, it is just increasing upward and it is in decreasing downward at the center. So after initial investigation, we found that, okay, everywhere with every track that trend is coming, means with every deposition it is going downward, it is going upward. And these are the single track, these are the data from the corner sensor, maximum data that we have obtained. So we are getting downward movement when we are cladding, when we are depositing a stellite 6, we are getting downward bend. Everywhere you can see, this is the second track, this is the third track, this is the seventh track, this is the eighth track, this is 16 15 16, and this is 24 and 50. We have selected some data from the entire range, and we have tried to correlate what is happening in between the tracks, or how much distortion is inducing per track. Per track means per layer, means single deposition in the cladding. So here we can see stellite 6 cladding, downward deflection is measured during cladding, and at the center it is giving the opposite, means it is not bending, it is going up. During solidification, downward deflection is observed. Here we are getting downward deflection. The cycle is observed, this and this similar cycle is observed for each track. So this is the data that we have obtained. See, initially distortion are higher, you are getting 1 mm of distortion in for second track only, but when we are increasing the number of track, the magnitude of distortion induced per track is decreasing. The reason why it is decreasing, again, that I will explain in our further slides. So this is also interesting thing that we come to know, okay, these are the things that are actually evolving during the process, because simulation, in numerical simulation, it will be very difficult to capture this type of data. or this type of thing. So in situ monitoring is always performed to see the in depth of the process. So this is the interesting that we have observed. We have done intensive study on this data, and we have come up with this solution that okay, this is what is happening in between the deposition. Again, we have done in situ monitoring, but we have to check whether the distortion that we have obtained is decreasing or again increasing over the period of time even after the deposition. So what we have done post process deflection also measurement. So what we done, we didn't do anything. We have removed the samples after cladding. We have measured the data for 2 minutes. Again in the next day, what again we have measured the data with the same experimental setup, and we have not found any much variation, because whatever the distortion has induced, it is there for long time, and it cannot be further reduced, and we have found only 2 to 3% change in all the samples, which is very negligible. The one of the reason for not changing any distortion further or not decreasing or increasing any distortion is that we have used unconstrained condition. When we use unconstrained condition, there is no residual stress formation. The complete whatever maybe the distortion is happening over the time, it can, the residual stresses that have formed, even though they have formed, it can all completely compensated with the distortion data. So that's why we didn't found any observation. It is also confirmed with some 2 to 3 literature. That's why we can say that okay, with this unconstrained condition, no residual stress will occur, or no residual stress were developed after the deposition. So these are the final distortion that we have obtained after post process measurement. Now the melt pool measurement. So we have measured distortion, but we have to correlate what is the main effect or due to which reason it is happening, distortion, why distortions are happening. So we have also measured melt pool temperature, the region where the melting occurred, the region where the laser melts the substrate and again it will solidify. So that temperature also we have measured. So here are the temperature data for sample S7. S7 operated or cladded with 3400 power and 12 mm per second of scan speed. S3 is cladded with 2400 of laser power and 12 mm per second of scan speed. We have used this combination just to showcase, okay, this is the effect. First, I would like to inform that this is the dotted line. The dotted line indicates the melt pool temperature. The temperature, melt pool temperature or melting temperature of stellite 6 and SS316, which is nearly about 1360 degrees centigrade. So this is the melt pool melting temperature. Above what we have obtained is the melt pool or liquid region. This is the time for which the material is in liquid state. This is the time for which the material is in liquid state and it will take some time to solidify. So from the results we have divided, we have observed carefully, we have given some time, we have read some literature, and then we come to conclusion that okay, this span AE, we have divided this graph into 3-4 parts. Like suppose from here to B, it is the maximum temperature that we have obtained during cladding. From B to C, or we can say till this point, it will indicate solidification, or it is decreasing from B to E, it is in liquid state, and from E to, suppose we can say F is there, so we can say that E to F is solidification zone. During this area, cladding is solidifying. This is the EE region. Above that it is melting, which means that we have divided, say that this region is melt pool lifespan, the time for which the material is in liquid state. That state we call it as a melt pool lifespan. So these are the things that we have defined before. Also we have seen that there is a B to C decrease and then again rise. I can't see, you can't see it here, but here I can highlight it, that area from here to here, some temperature rise is there for a fraction of second, and then again it is decreasing from D to E. So what is happening inside that? So again we and this trend is observed everywhere. Here also you are getting, here also, and here also. So what we think again, that okay, why it is happening? Nothing can happen for any reason. So we have went into the depth. Then we can find out that okay, stellite 6 contain carbides or carbide forming elements, like it will contain chromium, it will contain tungsten, it will contain molybdenum. So what is happening when the chromium and molybdenum and tungsten will react with carbon, it will form carbide. Carbide formation is an exothermic reaction. When the exothermic reaction will happen, it will release some energy. When it will release the energy, the temperature will increase. Here you can see there is a rapid increase from 0 to O to B, and then again there is a rapid decrease. This everything is happening in between 5 seconds. Here it is happening between 4 seconds, because here scan speed is more, here scan speed is low. So more the scan speed, more will be the uh, heating and cooling cycle. Less the scan speed, less will be the heating and cooling cycle. So these are the things we have obtained, and we found that the rise in temperature between C to D is because of hard carbides formation. The similar observation, not with the stellite 6, but with the different powder they have obtained, or they have measured, not exactly with the melt pool, but they said that okay, this can happen. So we have also think that okay, this is happening. So we have done microstructural analysis, and there we can find that okay, these are the carbide formation. So now we can say that when we are monitoring, when we are deploying in situ monitoring, we can come to know whether the carbides were formed or not. Just it will give some preliminary idea that okay, carbides were formed. How much carbides were formed, that obviously we have to check with the XRD, but the thing is that it will show that okay, carbides are forming. This will also one of the advantage of in situ monitoring. We come to know after our analysis. Initially we don't know any idea about this, so after investigation we have found out this also. And we can say that after deposition of the first layer, there is an increase in the top surface temperature by 45% and 25% in both the sample. Here we can say this is the first layer. This is first layer for S7. This is second layer for S9. Here we can say temperature start from 500. Here temperature start from 450 degree, because with the deposition of first layer, multi-pass we have deposited, so heat were accumulated over the surface, so the temperature obviously it went rise. So this is the temperature, higher temperature we have obtained. Now while depositing the second layer, temperatures are already higher, which means that the recording of during the second time, that is during second layer, it will again increase melt pool temperature. So here you can say we have obtained 1700 degrees centigrade, but here we have nearly obtained 1800 degrees centigrade of temperature during deposition of the second layer. So these are the things that we try to correlate. So again here we have found that okay, everywhere this is the maximum temperature that we have got, and everywhere the temperature is above melting point, that is 13-15 degrees centigrade. So everywhere the temperature is above 13-15 degrees centigrade, which indicate that okay, the cladding is forming metallurgical bond, because without melting you can't form a metallurgical bond. So that's why from our, again the second point is that we come to know that okay, cladding is happened, and from the temperature data we can see that we can form bulk we can form metallurgical bond as the temperatures are above melting temperature. So this is what we have observed from the melt pool temperature. So again, melt pool temperature is not the only reason. Thermal gradient means it is a difference between the top and bottom temperature, or along the thickness what is happening. Depending upon that only it will generate the thermal gradient. So we can also consider bottom temperature. We have measured bottom temperature also. This is the graph for a sample S7 and S3. For comparison only, I have taken S7 and S3. Here you can see that maximum temperature generated during cladding is 500 degrees centigrade, and here you can say that maximum temperature is nearly 300 degrees centigrade. You can see clearly the difference. When we are depositing at 3400, we are depositing at 2400. The difference is there, and the reason is uh, different different scan speed, different laser power, that I will discuss further. So here you can see that middle temperature, that is the sensor that we have placed at the middle have recorded maximum temperature, and this sensor that has monitored first, that has measured higher peaks initially. This sensor has measured peaks after or at the end of the deposition. They have measured temperature peaks at the starting of the deposition, but here the middle temperature are recorded some temperature peaks at the center of the deposition. It is obvious when we are placing sensor at the initial placing the sensor near to the laser, it will give these peaks. Means that as we can see in the top temperature, why it is happening, I will tell you in very easy way. When we are generating temperature of 1500 degrees centigrade, for example, and bottom temperature is at room temperature, so the temperature generated here are rapidly transferred to the bottom or lower temperature region. So when it is transferring, it will increase the temperature suddenly, and after the cladding is done, it will solidify. So most of the temperature will transfer to the environment, and remaining temperature were transferred to the substrate by conduction. That's why this rise will happen. But when the laser is moving away from the measuring point, it will show a very linear movement or a very straight line, because once the laser is passed away from the measuring point, it will not show any result. And but here again you can see there are some peaks near to this sensor. As I told, the more the laser coming towards the measuring point, it will show these peaks. Otherwise it will just record at the normal temperature, because in that area no sudden thermal transfer will be there. That's why it will not show any peaks. Here we can say that, okay, for this temperature monitoring, we have also considered middle temperature as a maximum temperature involved in the substrate. After that, we can say that nearly 75% higher temperature is observed. We can clearly see 300 and 500. This is the difference what we have obtained. So we can say that 75% higher temperatures were observed. But interestingly, we can say that during first layer of cladding, the temperature is 400 degrees centigrade. Here the temperature is 200 degrees centigrade. But during second layer of deposition, you can see there is a simply 100-degree rise. Here also you can say simply 100-degree rise. Means that temperature were decreased from 14 to 16% while depositing the second layer. The reason is that when we are depositing stellite 6, it is a it is having high resistivity. It can sustain higher temperatures at higher temperatures for long time, because it is a super alloy and it can be used for high temperature application. So what will happen when we are depositing the first layer, when it solidify and starting the second layer, it will not try to conduct the heat through the first layer rapidly. That's why the temperature to reach the bottom temperature, it will take some time, and that's why there is not a much rise in the substrate temperature while depositing the second layer. So that is what we have observed. This is the interesting fact, and that's why we have correlate all these things with the distortion data. Now we obtain all the data, bottom, top, and now we try to establish a relationship between the distortion, how actually it is happening, this distortion. So as I informed, these are the single tracks that again we have investigated. We also try to find out that, okay, how much this temperature is increasing during each track. Here we can observe that again with the increasing tracks here 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and 14, 15, 16. Similarly for S3 sample, when we are increasing the track, the temperature rise in the substrate is decreasing. Again, this is the same. Initially temperature is substrate is at room temperature, but once the track deposition increases, the temperature also increases, and that's why the thermal conductivity decreases, and that's why we have obtained lower temperatures. Here we can see that increase in power and decrease in scan speed has direct impact on substrate temperature, and these are the things that we have obtained here also. So this is the maximum temperature that we have obtained. Maximum we reached 550 degrees centigrade while depositing the S7 sample. These are the first layer results. These are the second layer results, and you can clearly see there is a complete 50% decrease in the temperature while depositing the second layer. So now the discussion, now we have all the data, we have post processed the data, and we try to find out that okay, what is happening during, actually what is happening during the process. So high melting temperatures are generated. You can clearly see from the melt pool result, temperature is going up to 1800 degrees centigrade. So that much temperature were generated at the top, but the temperature that what is present at the bottom is only 100 degrees centigrade after the deposition of 2 or 3 tracks. So the difference is 1800 minus the 100. 1700 degrees centigrade difference have been generated along the thickness. So what will happen due to that difference? When we are depositing the track, as you can see clearly from the here, thermal gradients were more. So what will happen? Cladding will try to expand more compared to bulk material, because cladding is at higher temperature and the bulk substrate is at low temperature. Due to which what happened? This will try to expand more, but the bulk material did not allow this material to expand uh, more than the substrate one. Due to which what happened? Compressive stresses were developed at the interface region, and due to this compressive stresses it will bend the substrate in downward direction. That's why you are getting a downward trend here. That's why we have observed during cladding we have observed a downward trend. That's why this is the reason it is bending downward, means the data that we recorded in the corner sensors is downward direction. That's why we have obtained a downward trend. But again, when cladding stops, when the laser coming back to its original position to deposit a second layer, in between that time solidification happen. And when the solidification happen, the substrate or the clad area, top clad area try to contract more, but again that contraction will restricted by the substrate material, and it will end up inducing tensile stresses tensile stresses in the substrate, and that's why it will bend in the downward direction at the center and upward direction at the corners. That's why due to this reason only we have obtained an upward trend during solidification and downward trend during cladding. The same phenomena or this is what we have obtained for corner temperature, but the opposite phenomena will happen in the middle sensor. What we will do, he will go upward during cladding. From here you can see it is going upward during cladding and it is going downward during deposition. The opposite phenomena will happen at the bottom. So this is the reason, that's why we have monitored the top temperature to know what is the thermal or the amount of thermal gradients developed. So when we are depositing at 3400 power, obviously the temperatures are low. When we are depositing at high temperatures are increased, so the difference also increases. When the difference increases, this contraction and expansion rate also increases or decreases, and due to this reason only the distortions data that we have obtained for different parameters have increased, and with the help of increasing power and decreasing scan speed. So this is what we have investigated for temperature, the effect of temperature on distortion. Now the main purpose of our theme is that, okay, we have to find out what is the effect of process parameter or how it is affecting the distortion. So to do that, we have considered scan speed, because scan speed is the phenomena where the interaction time between the laser and substrate increases. More the scan speed, less will be the interaction time. Less will be the interaction time, the less will be the heat addition to the substrate. Less will be the heat addition, the less will be the melting. Less melting means contraction and expansion will be the less. So here we can so again, as I mentioned, this portion is AE. Above AE, this is the amount of time for which the material is in liquid state. So we have calculated the melt pool lifespan, and we can compare. These are the sample S4, S5, S6. S4 cladded at 12 mm per second, S5 cladded at 16 mm per second, and S6 cladded at 12 mm per second. So you can clearly see the distance AE that AE is increasing with the decreasing scan speed. Just now I have informed, when we are increasing the scan speed, the interaction time decreases, and that's why when interaction time decreases, melt pool lifespan, the time for which the cladding is at molten state, is also decreases. Why we have calculated this? So the reason is that, as I informed just now, contraction and expansion only lead to formation of distortion. When contraction or expansion happen, it will happen only in melting state. So that's why we have calculated that melt pool region. So these are the regions, the measurements that we have obtained. You can see nearly 750 microseconds or milliseconds the melt pool is at liquid state. Here again decreasing with the help of the increasing scan speed. So at 12 mm per scan speed, the molten melt pool lifespan is more. So more will be the contraction. It will try to contract more, but again the substrate will try to constrain this contraction. Due to that, it will deflect more. It will deflect more. That's why it will give higher deflection while depositing at 12 mm per second of scan speed. This is the reason, that's why deflections are more at 12 mm per second and deflections are low at 20 mm per second of scan speed. Here we can say high deflection of nearly 20% is recorded in S4 sample and S6 sample compared to 12 mm per second of scan speed. And this is the decrease in scan speed also shows melt pool lifespan increases, which will allow expansion for more time, leading to higher deflection. And this data were completely in agreement with our recorded data. It is completely in good agreement with the theoretical data that what we have read from the literature review. So that is the reason why the scanning with the increasing scan speed, the deflection is increasing. Similar phenomena we have applied for power. We have again measured the melt pool lifespan for laser power. There also we can find that with rise in power, the melt pool lifespan increasing, and that's why the recorded deflections are higher for that reason also. So we can say that the impact of scan speed, because here scan speed, with the change in scan speed, only the interaction time increasing. So the most influencing parameter for distortion development is the scan speed. From this study we have concluded that the scan speed has a dominant impact on the distortion. So from this distortion, from this study we have concluded that okay, scan speed is the dominating impact. We have again suggested the optimum process parameter that can be used for cladding stellite 6, which will induce lower distortion, which can form proper melt pool, which can form strong metallurgical bond with the substrate after finalizing or investigating all the results. And we have suggested that okay, thermal gradient is inducing larger distortions. So what we can suggest that okay, preheating will be given to the substrate before cladding, so that it will reduce the thermal gradient and it will reduce the distortion also. And one more thing I would like to tell here, I can say that okay, initially I told that during second layer deposition distortions are less. So what is happening during the second layer of deposition, we can say that the temperature, top temperatures at are at high levels. So we can say that in first layer we have obtained 700 degrees centigrade, but second layer we have obtained 1800 degrees centigrade. The same will happen for the bottom temperature. The temperatures are increased while depositing the second layer. The temperatures are increased at the bottom and at the top also. So due to this, what happened, the difference in the temperature is reduced. Suppose while depositing the first layer, the bottom temperature is at 25 degrees centigrade, but while starting at the second layer of the stellite 6 deposition, the temperature is at 300 degrees centigrade. So that much difference is there. And also the top temperature is also increased. The top temperature while depositing the second layer is at 0 degrees centigrade or 25 degrees centigrade, but the after deposition of the first layer, the temperature is nearly increased to 500 or 600 degrees centigrade top temperature. So that's why that difference will reduce the thermal gradient, that thermal difference, and that thermal difference will not allow or will allow coating and substrate material to expand simultaneously instead of at the different rate while we have observed in the case of first layer. That's the reason why the distortions what we have obtained during second layer is reduced. This is also in good agreement with the previous data that have also done the same, also try to measure the distortion results. So based on this study, we have published our paper in Journal of Alloys and Compound, where it took 3 or 4 months after revision also, and after all these things, we have published our first paper. And this is the first paper, or we are the first one who are investigated the substrate or the distortion development while depositing the first layer, while depositing the unconstrained condition. So now we can say that, okay, we have deposited stellate 6 and we have obtained some data. But what happened when we are depositing Inconel 718? Because every material is different on its own. So what is happening here? We have taken two materials, stellate 6 and Inconel 718, and we tried to compare the distortions what is happening there also. So we have deposited Inconel 718 9 samples with the same setup, and we try to monitor the distortion, and we have obtained the distortion results. These are the results. Irrespective of cladding material, longitudinal mode of distortion we have obtained, which means that irrespective of cladding material, when we are depositing the material in the longitudinal direction, you will get the longitudinal distortion. That is for sure. So this is the one conclusion that we have obtained from this study. Again, the distortion what we have obtained from Inconel 718 are low as compared to stellate 6. The reason is I will tell you in coming slides. So these are the data that we have obtained, and we have obtained 15 to 20% lower distortion, whereas when we compared the process parameter, there is no much difference in the data, because with stellate 6 cladding we have obtained we have obtained different results. Here we can say that nearly 28%, 23%, and 50% higher deflections were obtained when cladding at 12, 16, and 12 mm per second of speed when compared to Inconel 718. And similarly with this one. And on an average, we can say that, okay, 15 to 20% is the minimum bar that we have said that, okay, these are the temperatures, distortions that can be induced during cladding. So again, we have went for individual distortion. Again, we have measured post-process deflections. Again, we obtained the results and we have compared. These are the final distortions that we have obtained, and which are also in good agreement with the in situ and post-process results. These are the individual tracks that we have obtained, or individual distortions that we have obtained during stellate 6 and Inconel 718 cladding. Here also you can say that while depositing an individual track of Inconel 718, lower distortions were obtained as compared to stellate 6. So the reason I will discuss in discussion part. So these are the melt pool region. Similar distortion trends we have obtained, but the only thing is that we have obtained here rising from C to D. But where in case of Inconel 718 cladding, we didn't found any rise. Instead we can find out a rapid decreasing cooling rates due to heat release of latent heat of solidification. Here carbides were formed, but in Inconel 718 carbon content are very low, due to which it will form Leo phases, and it will elemental segregation will happen, which will not release any heat, but it will not release any exothermic reaction, and which will not release any heat. But here in that case, instead that it will elemental segregation will form due to latent heat of solidification. Due to that, the temperature is not increasing, but it is going in the slope with the help of slope only. Here we can see from C to D there is a slight decrease in the temperature, and then it is suddenly decreasing. So from that again we can say that okay, online monitoring is also helpful for to find out whether the carbides or Lave phases or elemental segregation will happen or not. So this is again new findings that we have obtained. So again we have measured the bottom temperature, and again we obtained lower temperatures in stellite 6 cladding than Inconel 718. And in top temperature we have obtained 10 to 15% higher temperature than Inconel 718. These are the interlinked connections, means this only decide how much distortion will induce. So these are the things that we have obtained for bottom temperature. I think time is going on, so I will speed up speed up. So in discussion part, we can say that we have observed 10 to 15% higher melt pool temperatures and lower substrate temperature. Here the temperature is increasing at the top and the temperature is decreasing at the bottom as compared to Inconel 718. Due to which what happened? Higher thermal gradient were developed while depositing stellite 6 compared to Inconel 718. The higher temperature gradients were developed, which means that it will expand more compared to Inconel 718, and that's why it is giving higher distortion. And one more thing is that coefficient of thermal expansion of stellite 6 is higher than that of Inconel 718, which means that it will expand more as compared to stellite 6, while it will expand more as compared to stellite 6, due to which what happened, expansion will be more and hence the distortion will induce more. These are the things that we have obtained, and we can say that primarily that coefficient of thermal expansion and thermal gradient both act simultaneously in the development of distortion. This is the phenomena that is happening during the deposition. So these are the results that we have obtained, and we have plotted. We have checked solidification rate. We have again compared their melt pool lifespan and their results effect on the temperature, and we can find out that okay, the thermal gradients can have much impact during the deposition. Again, we have measured for scan speed and laser power. Similar explanation will be there for stellite and Inconel 718, but the only thing is that the melt pool lifespan what we have observed is less. See here we can see that increase in scan speed from 12 to 20 mm per second in stellite 6 cladding. The melt pool life from 738 milliseconds, it is decreasing to 594 milliseconds when compared to Inconel 718. And this difference is clearly indicating the why the distortions are more in stellite 6. So based on these results, we have we have submitted our paper in part B, and we have submitted the revision also. I hope so it will come. And again, I can say we have used so our third case is the effect of support condition on distortion. So we have again investigated what is the impact of support condition on the distortion. So we have gone through literature, and we can say that okay, these are the three most widely used support conditions during the literature. So we have investigated the constant condition. We have checked what is their impact on distortion. So we have we have taken three parameters, 3 power and 3 scan speeds, and we have carried out the investigation. So firstly, obviously, we have changed only the support condition, so there will be no change in melt pool temperature. But there is a slight change in substrate temperature when we have measured the substrate temperature, because when we are constraining, the constraint will take some temperature, and that's why the temperature at the substrate will reduce. So these are the distortion that we have obtained, and surprisingly we say that stellite 6, while depositing with unconstrained condition and while depositing with fixed condition, will induce 50% and 70% higher distortion as compared to cantilever. Here you can see cantilever distortion has given up to 10 mm of distortion as compared to fixed and cantilever support. So this is a very huge distortion that we have obtained from this study. So these are the data that we have obtained. But here we can say that while we are fixing the substrate, the downward deflection or deflection at the center is more, because there is no provision for the substrate to deform in the corner. So that's why the complete distortion will be accumulated at the center, and it is giving the highest distortion. So these are the single track that we have obtained. And we have again compared the process parameter, and we have investigated why this is happening. Similar phenomena will happen here also, but the thing is that cantilever support will give lot of higher distortion. So this is the phenomena that is happening in simple support. It is just a simple phenomena that I have discussed earlier. During cladding, the same phenomena will happen, but only the one end will deflect instead of both the ends. And in the fixed support, it is the opposite. That is what happening compared to simple support or simple support. So these are the conclusions that we have obtained from the study. Fixed and simple support have generated higher, lower distortion as compared to cantilever support. And also the higher distortions were obtained, that is 30 to 60% compared to low power. And we can say that different support conditions show a significant impact. So every time we are giving any support condition, we have to think of this parameter also, that okay, this distortion will, this constraint will give this distortion, and this constant condition will give that much distortion. That also we have to taken into consideration. Hello sir, Gupta sir, should I continue sir for 10 more minutes?
Nikhil, it's already 1 hour 20 minutes.
Yes sir, just for sir 10 minutes I will wind it up.
You
so
complete
that,
in 5 minutes. 5 minutes will be better, because they have to
okay,
go
sir.
for lunch also.
Okay. Okay, sir. I will try to wind up, because this one also is very important, microstructural analysis.
Okay, fine.
So we have done distortion monitoring. Then we can come to we have investigated, and we can think that okay, why not to compare their microstructural characteristic, geometrical aspects, and mechanical properties, because stellite 6 and Inconel 718 something is common, because their melting point is same, their micro thermomechanical properties are also same. So that's why we say that okay, they are having the similarities in common, so why not to go with their microstructural analysis. So we have investigated microstructural analysis, and we have here, but the only thing we have interestingly find that Inconel 718 at low power didn't found a proper cladding, because Inconel 718 it is a high heat resistance alloy. That's why it is not giving it will reflecting most of the laser energy during cladding, and that's why it is not forming any clads at the low temperature. But again at high temperatures it has formed proper cladding. So this is the first observation that we have observed. Then again we have observed that this is the cross sectional area we have taken. From that we have measured the dilution, we have measured the clad height, we have measured the penetration depth and width also. So interestingly we found that Inconel 718 and clads have given more heights as compared to stellite 6, even though they are depositing at the identical process condition. Same is happened with the penetration depth. Inconel 718 resulted higher penetration depth as compared to stellite 6, because what is happening, it is a high heat resistance alloy, so it will not diffuse more energy into the material. That's why it is maintaining higher temperatures at top surface only. When top surface is at higher temperature, the penetration will be more, heat affected zone will be more. That's why it has given higher penetration depth. So the dilution, we have cross-checked the dilution with the help of geometrical aspects, that is what b upon b plus h, that is b is a penetration depth. So we have also compared the data with the chemical approach, where we have find out the Fe content in the coating, in the substrate, and in the interface region. So from that also we have calculated the dilution, and from the study we have found that stellite Inconel 718 deposits have higher dilution rate as compared to stellite 6, even though they deposited at the same power. So microstructural analysis we have also done, and we didn't found any much change in the microstructural analysis, but we can say that at the interface region we will get columnar structure, because higher thermal gradient which will dissipate heat faster, that's why it is columnar. but when we go to the top, it will form the equiax structure, because at the top thermal gradient is low. That's why it is giving low equiax structure, which is also important, because most of the things or wear or the things will happen at the top only. That's why the equiax structure is more beneficial during the working condition. So we have observed both equiax structure in both the materials. We have done also the microstructural analysis. We have found out carbide formation and also Lev phase formation in Inconel 718, which are very beneficial for their operation. We have observed some crack in stellite 6 also when compared to these things, but we have also investigated that low power are also not beneficial for stellite 6 cladding, because it will give rapid cooling, and it will form the cracks. So these are the only cracks that we have observed in S1 and S3 samples. So dendritic spacing also we have measured, and we have found out that we have stellite 6 cladding as fine grain microstructure as compared to Inconel 718. These are the things that we have also done. And hardness, we didn't find any much variation, because both have formed different phases, so different hardness they have. So we just found out the trend, and we are in good agreement. So this is based on this study, we have obtained the one paper also. We have published one paper, and good findings we have observed from this study. So I think, sir, that's it. I will stop it here. We have investigated buffer layer also, and we have
Yes.
increased stellite 6 properties there also. That paper I can share with you in case if anyone want to study that. This is the paper that we have published. So thank you, sir. I will stop it here. And if any participant have any question.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you for the elaborated presentation. Actually, Nikhil has done exhaustively in the laser cladding for monitoring the distortion and also the temperature. And if you have any questions, you can ask. He got good journal publications. One is Material Science Engineering, Science and Engineering Part B, Journal of Alloys and Compounds, Materials Today Communication, and Materials Engineering Performance he is going to get very soon. And one more is in Part B, Journal of Engineering Manufacturing. So these are the 5 publications. And there are 2 more which he is planning. So hopefully by the time he defends his thesis, he will have somewhere around 7 to 8 papers in his kitty actually. So there are few questions, Nikhil. Somebody
Yes,
has
sir.
asked in the chat box. Can have a look at.
Hello.
1 second, sir. Yes,
What
sir.
is the approach to minimize deflection, as this much deflection not acceptable in the final product? Why
Yes, sir.
only SS for substrate? Why only SS316?
Okay. Generally, what happened? I will answer this first. Why SS is used? Because SS has 30 to 20, sorry, 25 to 30% of chromium. When chromium is involved, it will give high corrosion resistance property. Due to which, what happened? Corrosion is there. Corrosion we can cover, we can sustain the corrosion. But what about the wear? If you have to deploy SS316 in the hard environment, it cannot sustain. So that's why we have to deposit a hard coating, so that the bulk substrate will take care of the corrosion, and then the coating will take care of the wear. And mostly SS means you can use any material. You can use any material, but what we have found that the thermal thermal development, thermal gradient will be the same, because it is just a heat transfer. So that's why researchers have used SS. Mostly everyone will use SS only. That's why we have gone with SS only. There is no other reason regarding that. So, sir, second question is why that much distortion? How to eliminate that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is the second question.
Okay, so what is happening? The distortions we can't control. What we will control only the process parameter. That's why optimum initial investigations were performed. But in initial investigation, we will deposit only a single track. But when we deposit a single track, you can't get any distortion. That's why
in fact, earlier when the industry persons are depositing, they were getting distortion approximately 15-20 mm. They were not optimized. Now
Yes.
5 to 7 5 mm if you are going for a multiple tracks, actually, multiple layers, multiple tracks. But this also will be coming to somewhere around 1 mm. It will come if you properly optimize the process parameters. So that
Yes,
is
sir.
being still going on it.
But we can reduce from our study. We can say that okay, if we have used preheating temperature to 500 or 600 degrees centigrade, that we can reduce. But in high production rates, it is not possible to do that much preheating during the process. That's why they will go on with the 100 or 200 degrees centigrade. But still distortions are coming. That's why we have investigated that, and we are still working so that we can try to minimize the distortion to 1 or 2 mm.
Yes. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, I'm Dheeraj.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Nikhil.
Hello,
Yes,
Nikhil,
sir.
sir. That continuing
sir.
of that question, that preheating you have told.
Okay.
Actually, I'm from industry. That
Yes, sir.
daylight laser cladding is not done in our area, but daylight 6 and Inconel 700 we are using at welding purpose.
Okay.
So
Okay,
at
sir.
that time we are what we have done. We are trying to preheating the subtract also, as well as in process temperature, means that during the welding process we have just
Additional heat
preheated
source.
and
Additional heat source. Sir.
additional heat source we are maintaining, so that the
Okay.
deflection
Okay.
should be minimum.
Okay,
So,
sir. You are okay.
It's my suggestion for you that
Okay.
also try for that. Yes, you have done very nice research in this area. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because sir, people are doing. They are adding additional laser power so that they will heat simultaneously and they will deposit so that it will
Yes,
decrease.
yes.
Yes, sir. We will definitely trying that, sir. But due to some constraints, we are just
yes.
exploring that area just now. Thank you, sir, for this suggestion.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Nikhil. You told like that the GBR ratio is low at the topmost portion of your
G by R
and,
ratio is
low at the topmost area, right?
no, sir. At the topmost area, G by R ratio is higher. Thermal gradient is low. Thermal
Okay,
gradient in G. G is low at the top, but G by
okay.
R ratio is higher at the top.
At the top, right? So that's
Yes,
why
sir.
at the top you got the columnar
Equiaxed.
grain or
Equiaxed.
equiaxed grains.
Equiaxed grain. Yes,
Equiaxed
sir.
grains you got, right?
Yes, sir. So
Okay, okay.
because due to that reason only it will form the equiaxed. Because
Okay,
at the interface now, when we are depositing, melting will happen, but that melting
okay.
temperature will suddenly transfer to the bottom temperature. That's why their columnar structures were formed, but that two columnar structure were formed in opposite direction of the heat. Heat will transfer to the substrate and that columnar will go upward. This is the reason, with the help of that temperature only management, we will get this equiaxed and all these structures. So this will play a very important role when we have to get equiaxed or columnar structure. But in second layer now, we will get mostly equiaxed, because what happened, temperatures are high at the topmost layer of the first layer. Okay, so the thermal difference will again reduce. That's why we have get more equiaxed than the columnar. But it is correct that you will get columnar mostly near to the interface during any material deposition. That is what we have obtained till now. Literature is also saying that.
Okay. Dr. Anand Ronald.
Yes, sir.
Any queries, sir?
I also have, actually, I did some, what to say, for polylactic acid, PLA material, we try to 3D print.
3D print.
There also, I try to do different orientation. Angle at
Okay.
which you print the PLA. For some certain angle of orientation, there was distortion. And for
Certain
certain
angle,
angle, the distortion was less.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I met to study. We just printed and physically observed that the distortion is varying at different
Actually,
angles.
as Ramesh Singh from IIT Bombay, he told, no, you can always incline the substrate and also deposit. There also possibly the distortion might get reduced. But those possibilities we have not tried actually.
Now, what could be the reason why the distortion is varying when you change the orientation of the nozzle?
Sir, there is a one possibility.
Because my main reason was the temperature involved is less because it's a polymer.
Okay.
No, but there, okay, how many layers you have deposited?
I deposited a simple dog bone shape, sir. 10 cell
Okay.
sample.
On what material?
PLA.
PLA. Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, we
Okay.
polymer
Actually, PLA,
related.
sir, we didn't explore. But sir, one more possibility is that in laser cladding also we have
No,
gone
no,
through
not laser
literature.
cladding. Sir is talking about polymer based manufacturing.
Yeah, the FDM,
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
FDM machine.
In similar line, what researchers have done, sir, they have done zigzag cladding and they have done spiral cladding. But in spiral cladding, they have got less distortion as compared to zigzag. So you can try, sir, because in spiral cladding, na,
Correct.
because sir, in
tool path
spiral,
pattern.
dual path, you can try to deposit in 90-degree angle, sir. Every time you
Yeah.
can change the orientation 0, 90, 0, 90, 0, 90.
Crisscross orientations.
Yes, sir. So that you will get reduced distortion.
Yeah, the machine which we have has certain limitation. It's a low cost machine only.
Okay, sir.
So not all we can do. Anyway, within limitations, whatever you could do, we have
But
to
sir,
do.
you can try that. You will compensate that distortion what you got for
You are from
previous layer.
SSN college.
SSN, sir.
Okay, Suresh, you know, Dr. Suresh.
M. Suresh, sir. Yes, sir, I know.
Okay. He was there some 4 or 5 years back. He was in our workshop at VNIT. He was here at.
Oh, okay. I know this.
I am in Chennai. I am in Chennai from 27 to 30th.
Okay, sir. I'm going out of station.
Okay.
I'm going to my native. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. If you have any other questions, please you can post it.
Actually, I missed how the distortion is measured. That part I missed.
Okay. Actually, we have used laser displacement sensor. So where the laser will come and it will point it over the bottom of the substrate. So whenever there is a movement, that laser will deflect, or that laser will move up. That substrate will move, so the laser will also move with that, and it will record the data.
Okay. Okay. I'm actually using a very basic thing. Just I'm clamping using a C clamp at one end and trying to see what is the deflection at the other end.
Actually, sir, when
Using
we use
vernier
clamping,
height gauge.
Okay, vernier is also okay. After depositing, you are checking, sir. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, post deposition you are doing.
Because we don't have much resources.
Yes, sir. Okay. That you can.
And I also told the student one basic CMM we have. I told them to measure the deflection at equal distance from one end of the dog bone shape to the other end.
Okay.
To quantify the distortion.
Yes, sir. That is also possible. Yes, sir. People are doing, sir, that also.
Okay. Because
Any other question, please?
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine. So if you don't have any questions, then let us thank the speaker. And this is the last session of your additive manufacturing, metal additive manufacturing 2021. And we are going to meet at 3 o'clock for 15 or 20 minutes for the valedictory, where our head of the department will going to address for 5 minutes. And after that, he will leave and I will take some feedback from you. It is whatever it is. And the actual feedback has to be given in the Atal portal only. Then only you are going to get the certificate. And the other thing is that I made a question paper, which is of Google form. You will have 30 questions, 45 minutes. You have to submit, and we are going to start that questions. I will be posting that Google form in the group. You have to submit by 3:30. We are going to start the exam. So this is for the information for everyone. So you have to, it is mandatory that you have to give the question, you have to give the quiz. Then only the marks have to be uploaded on the Atal portal. Then your certificate will be, like they will be issuing actually. I hope I am clear with everyone. Nikhil, you can stop the presentation sharing. So I request everyone to join for the valedictory. So then we are going to meet actually. Okay. Thank you everyone. Thank you
all participants for listening me. So thank you. We will meet again next year also. Hope so.
physically.
Sir, physically it will be more good, sir.
Actually, earlier I used to take all the participants to our laser cladding facility. We used to show the entire day. We used to spend there actually, all the participants. We were having that much like interaction with the industry person. Anyway, I thank you everyone. Again, we are going to meet at 3 o'clock. Please join for the valedictory. Thank you. Bye. Bye everyone. I'll stop here the presentation.